Before the break, we were talking about the San Francisco 49ers, Michael, and their win total.
Let me guess. I did not look. I promise you I did not look. Their win total is 10.5?
11.5.
Ooh, boy.
Yes,
wow.
Which shocked me exclusively because of the quarterback uncertainty. And look at how they started the year last year. Yes, they finished strong, but they started the year 3-4.
Yeah, but they started the year, they were hurt, and they started the year under the concept of Lance. And there were some people that thought he was going to be the MVP, by the way. I mean, that didn't last very long, but, they started under that idea. So
now you think they're better that they're split between Lance and
I don't think they're split at
Darnold
all.
to start?
I think there's a media perception that they're split. I don't think they're split at all. I think they know Lance isn't ready to play. I think they're very comfortable with they wouldn't have signed Darnold if they want that.
Okay.
I mean, they didn't waste time signing Darnold. They signed Darnold immediately.
True.
They went right at. They knew what they wanted. Kyle made that decision. He got who he wanted, and now they're going to groove him into playing. And they've got a defense that is stronger this year than it was last year.
I love the Javon Hargrave
When you add Hargrave into that defense, now all of a sudden it's stronger than it was last year. Greenlaw's still there. You still have Fred Warner. You lost
Bosa.
You lost the one kid. They'll get Bosa signed under contract. They're good. I mean, they're good. And this is funny. They lose McGlinchey, and it didn't affect the number. Again, the number gets affected by great players. They'll replace McGlinchey. That's not a problem. You can't replace a guy like Hargrave. That's a guy that was elite.
Mm-hmm. Coming off a 13-4 season NFC Championship appearance. So that is tied for the highest win total in the league with Kansas City and the Cincinnati Bengals. The defending champion Chiefs have exceeded this number all 5 seasons that Patrick Mahomes has been their quarterback. Is it reasonable to say that they'll do it again?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know why it wouldn't. 11.5's a lot. I mean, look, can the Chargers get better here? You got to think so. The Raiders had a chance to beat them in the game in Kansas City, not the game here in Las Vegas. The Chargers had a chance to beat them in the game in Kansas City. That they've been able to win these close games. I think a lot of that, if you're going to go under, you're saying there's going to be some injuries. Mm-hmm. There's going to be some injuries here on the Chiefs, and they lose Frank Clark. I mean, that Frank Clark wasn't a great player for him last year. So
they lost Tyreek Hill the year before, and everybody thought that they were going to go downhill, and they didn't. Including
me, but they changed the offense. They lost Tyreek, and they changed and became more of a ball control offense. So I don't know. When you have Mahomes, it's hard not to think you're going to win 12 out of 17 games.
Yeah, despite that being the highest win total, I was like, they can get that. They can get that.
Well, a lot of it is injury too, right? A lot of it is how you handle that. Look, people forget this. This team lost to the Colts at home in Indianapolis. And they had some games that they were fortunate. And you say, well, the schedule's tougher. Yeah. With any of these AFC teams, the win totals might not always be right because that AFC has got a lot of good quarterbacks. Whereas if you've got the win total, maybe this is the reason the Niners win total is so high. Mm-hmm. What quarterbacks? You asked me the question. You said you look at the schedule and you see.
I said if I was a player, how I would look at the schedule.
And I agree, right? And most people do that. But
I'd look at the bye and I'd look at the Thursday night games. That's when I would look at.
Most people do that, right? But when you're looking at over-unders, you're looking at quarterbacks.
Yeah. Who
do we play that's good? What quarterback do we play that could beat us? And if you're in the NFC, that's what makes, again, let's go back to Lamar. That's what makes the Lamar thing so maddening is people are making excuses like you have Desmond Ridder at quarterback. I mean, now, are you going to draft Anthony Richardson? Okay, if that's your plan, fine. But to me, I don't get it.
So then you have the Bengals, who were 12-4 last year, most wins they've had since 2015. Their total is also set at 11.5. You have the 10.5 grouping, which is Bills, Eagles, and the Jacksonville Jaguars, all set at 10.5.
Wow. To me, I think Jacksonville at 10.5 is a little high, because you got to win 11 to cash that ticket. And I know the AFC South isn't very good, but it's a little bit misleading. I mean, there was a lot of fortunate things that happened. I do think Jacksonville, add in Ridley, if Ridley comes back and plays like he did 2 years ago, not the year in Atlanta that he kind of went on IR and he had the mental issues, he was depressed and all those things. If he plays like he did the year before as a true almost number one receiver, I think it makes Jacksonville's offense really good. But once again, where are the injuries? And it's hard to go from good to great. People aren't going to take Jacksonville lightly next year. You know, they're going to spend a lot of time off season to study their team. That's the other thing is when you're what teams do in the off season, when you're a playoff team, they spend more time studying you. How do we play them? What are we going to do? How are we going to? It's not in the week preparation.
As I was going through some of the win totals this morning, one that struck me as a little bit low, and tell me what you think, was the Vikings at 8.5. I thought it'd be 9.5. It's obvious that they're going to have regression from last year. Right. They won so many of those one-score games that they probably shouldn't have. But from 13 wins to 8. Well,
but look, those
five game disparity. You think?
We could have gone down that road. I mean, they could have had 8 wins last year if a ball bounces the right way. I mean, if the Bears had them beat, the Bears are driving down the field. Patrick Peterson strips the ball out of the hands, and the next thing you know, they were so.
Well, I'm just thinking out their schedule because they get games against the Bears, Aaron Rodgers-less Packers, the Lions, who are good but not great yet. They have crossover games with the NFC South that was the worst division in football last year. Yes, they've made improvements, but still a ton of questions. I think their 3 toughest games are the Chargers, Chiefs, and Niners, and they get them all at home.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's just all I need are 9 wins.
Yeah.
I just need you to go over 500.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point.
Kirk Cousins' second year with the same play caller, which he hasn't really had much.
Are they
going
to be better on defense, do you think? I mean, that's the question.
New defensive coordinator, so maybe you can't be any worse.
What are the Browns numbers?
Let me pull that up real quick.
Because I think the Browns have a chance to be better next year. I think they'll be better coordinated defensively with Schwartz.
Browns 9.5.
9.5. That shows you the book, so how good the book is, right?
They know what they're doing. They've done this a time or two.
They've done this a few times. I mean, it's a really good number. Do I think the Browns get to 10? I would take a risk on that. I do think the Browns will be improved. I really do.
We'll see if Deshaun Watson,
he's got to be better. He's got to be better with the whole off season.
Yep.
Into the offense. They've got players around them. The defense has got to get better. I just think, to me, they have to be better.
The Steelers' win total last year was 7.5. They ended up winning 9 with the rookie quarterback coming in. This year it's set at
best coaching jobs in the league.
Well, and so this year it's set at 8.5. So does he have another season where he gets over 500?
I think he does.
16 seasons.
I would not bet against him. I mean, look, that team was horrible on paper. They'll be better on paper this year. Pickett's in his second year. The offensive line's going to be improved.
TJ Watt's going to come into the season healthy.
He'll be healthy. They'll be better on defense. They'll have a draft behind him. He's just a resilient, and the team gets better as the year goes on. I mean, that's what you want if you're going to hit these over titles. The over numbers. You got to get better as the year goes on. It's not who's 3-1 in September. It's who's getting better. In Pittsburgh, I mean, when they got blown out by Buffalo or they got blown out by Philly, they got better in the second half of the season.
And the division, if Lamar Jackson, he says he wants out of Baltimore, that's going to make the division a little bit weaker too. So
look, Huntley went to the Pro Bowl, though, Stormy.
Stop it with that. Let's look at some of these bottom feeders in terms of win totals. The lowest set numbers, Michael, are 5.5 wins. There are 2 teams who are set at 5.5 wins. Any guesses as to who they are?
The Texans.
Correctamundo got one.
And I would say the Bucks.
The Bucks are 6.5. The other 5.5 is the Arizona Cardinals.
Oh my God, the greatest quarterback in the history of football, the Mayor of Munchkinland. He's going
to start the season not playing, right?
How could you think that? I mean, this is the greatest player of all. He's our franchise player. It's what they told us when Jonathan Gannon got hired.
Michael, my favorite bet last season in the preseason was Arizona not to make the playoffs, and I bet it multiple times, and that was never in doubt.
Never in doubt. But the reason I said the Bucks. What is the Bucks number?
6.5.
See, the Bucks so darn good. I mean, the Bucks are going to be no good this year. They're not going to be good. They're going to have a hard time.
Baker Mayfield isn't the answer, Michael?
No, and their defense is older. They're in salary cap trouble. They don't really have. It's going to be a disconnected team. Brady doesn't walk out the door and everything's going to be okay. Baker walks in. That's what makes the Lamar thing. Get rid of a couple guys, sign Lamar. Why wouldn't you?
What I'm hoping for with all of these win totals is that we'll start to see the movement start to happen a little bit, and then maybe I can get some more favorable plus money prices on one side or the other. You know, we got to have some strategy here with the total. I just love that these are already out.
I love it too.
We got win totals
before
out
the draft, which shows you how little the draft impacts teams.
Yeah.
That's what we talk so much about how the impact of the draft is, and yet the book knows it's very little.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.